Hey team, I hope you're having a good week. I have been doing a bit of deep diving into my phone recently, and one of the topics I'm always asked about is how to grow regeneratively and what do we do to support the natural ecosystem that we work in amongst. And yeah, I found a whole bunch of footage that I had taken last year, and so I thought I would just upload this here into YouTube, just to give you a glimpse around some of the things that we do to try and be more sort of eco-friendly with our operations. So yeah, if you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments. But yeah, check it out. Hey everyone, I hope you're having a happy spring for those of us here in the southern hemisphere, and for those of you in the northern hemisphere, hopefully you're starting to wind down your season and put everything to bed. Today I thought I would cover off a topic that's pretty important to me here at the farm, and that is sustainability. So it's really hard to be like completely sustainable on a commercial farming operation, and particularly flowers. There's a lot of plastic use and things like that, but we do what we can to try and be as sustainable as possible, and so I want to be able to show you the different things that we do to achieve that. So protecting your flowers from pests is a key part of flower farming and is often discussed. Everything likes flowers, right? So it includes pest species of insects. So often growers will reach for the sprays to try and minimise the harm that those insects can cause to the crops. As a blanket rule, I don't use any insecticide on the property. Never say never. Maybe there'll be a very specific use that I'll have to come up with in the future to use, but right now I don't do that at all. What I prefer to do is try and create habitat for beneficial insects to live here, and so they're kind of part of my pest army, so to speak. So things like ladybirds, lacewings, beetles that eat slugs, like that kind of thing is what I try and cultivate here on the farm. And some of the reasons that I don't want to use sprays, so you might be thinking like, why not just use the sprays? Well, they're often not very specific to a pest. So when you're spraying, depending on the spray, but quite often you'll be exposing that spray to other wildlife in the environment, and so you might kill off some of the good guys as well as some of the bad guys. But I have used some sprays in the past, and I found that they're pretty ineffective, I think, unless you're using something that's really quite like extreme. And so I just thought, like, what's the point, exposing myself to chemicals, distributing that into the environment, like, just didn't make sense to me. And so that's why I try and cultivate as much of the beneficial insects as possible. The other thing I also do is I look to, where possible, prevent pest species from taking over a crop. So I think you're always going to have some pest species in the environment, and that makes sense, right? Because there needs to be something for the ladybirds to eat, right? Or the lacewings to eat. They're not just going to survive on nothing. So there needs to be a balance in place for that. But to help tip the balance in my favour, I do buy in certain insects that are lab grown. So here in New Zealand we have a company called Bioforce, and so I utilise quite a bit of their products to be able to help tip the balance in my favour. So today I'm going to be releasing their Mite A product, which is a mite that lives on the microscopic mite that lives on the leaves and eats thrips. So if you've ever dealt with thrips, you know how annoying they are and very difficult to get rid of, even including using heavy pesticides. So I go around and I put the mites all over the plants, and then they kind of live there and hang out until the crop is done, basically. A couple of other things I use is some lacewings. So we have a native lacewing on our property called the Tasman lacewing, so it's quite prevalent within the country. So they hang out and do all the good things that they do. But there's a new green lacewing that Bioforce have brought out, which I'm going to try as well, which apparently is they're kind of a generalist predator, so they eat aphids and lots of other things. And then the other thing that I'm using is also a generalist predator is, I think it's called Orius or Aureus, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's a type of pirate bug, and so yeah, so they are a generalist predator, so they eat lots of different things. So I'm going to give that a go. So I usually only do one release of these guys per year. The lacewing I will use either as a usually as a prevention strategy, and then same with the mites. It's all prevention. The other thing I've tried is they've got some wasps called Aphidius. I mean, they're tiny little wasps, not like a big, you know, German wasp or whatever. They're those tiny little wasps, and they go around and they eat all the aphids, and I've used them this year already, and they were amazing. They completely just got rid of all the aphids. And so whilst I don't use insecticide, I also try not to use any fungicides as well on the plants. So generally speaking, I'm trying to add as much life to the farm as possible. And when you use things like insecticides and fungicides, they usually aim to kill something. Now, I'm not a scientist, but I have been doing a lot of research on just how, like, you know, pathogenic funguses work and that kind of thing, and I came across this concept called quorum sensing. You'll have to go and look it up and do your own research, but basically if you can have more good guys, good bacteria, good fungus on your plants than bad guys, then the bad guys don't take over, so they kind of just work it out between themselves. So again, to tip that balance in my favour, I do apply some beneficial bacteria and beneficial fungi to my plants at various stages. So typically when I do plant any seedlings, I do what's called a root dip. So I dip my plants in a lot of beneficial things, including this bacteria and fungi. And so I've been using a product for the last year called Superzyme. Don't try and buy any, it's sold out everywhere, unfortunately. And I'm running out too, so now I'm on the hunt to find some more. But yeah, I've been using that and I found that to be really good. It's got trichoderma, which is a type of fungi that eats other fungi, and then Bacillus subtilis, I think, is one of the bacteria that's used there. So so I've been using that. It's really good. You can make a lot of your own kind of lotions and potions out of natural inputs, which I'd like to get into more when I find some more time. But right now I'm just using this, and it seems to be working pretty well. So I use the Superzyme as a root dip when I'm transplanting seedlings, but also as a foliar spray. So I try and do a foliar spray with it once a week, and I usually try and put in, some organic fertilizer at the same time, or kelp or something that's good for the plants. But yeah, I try and do that once a week. Don't always get to it, but yeah, so I do a foliar spray and a root dip with it. Another thing that I try and do is I try and grow a lot of my own seedlings. So I know then what's gone into them. They've had less travel miles to get to me. And so, yeah, that's typically how I grow a lot of my seedlings. Though this year we've had a lot of things on, and so I've chosen to use a seedling broker or buy directly from a nursery that does seedlings. So I've been using Nadako, so they're really good. And then also Lisa from Flora Flowers has started up a new seedling brokerage business, and she gets her products from Nadako and then ships them out in smaller quantities for smaller growers, which has been really cool and useful. So yeah, usually try and grow most of them myself, but occasionally we'll buy in seedlings elsewhere. So another thing I'm really keen on is the use of cover crops. So cover crops are just basically a crop that you grow in between your usual flower crop. So we can see here that I've got a mixed species cover crop. So this is a Lacey Phacelia. They're not quite out yet, but like when they are, holy moly, the insects just absolutely love them. Like this in a week or so will be absolutely humming with bees and other insects. So it's a really, really cool crop to grow. And bonus, they're actually a really nice cut flower as well, so they last well in a vase. So I think we've got some oats, there's some crimson clover in here, which is not yet flowering. which is a nitrogen fixing plant. So basically what this does is it keeps the soil covered and feeds the beneficial microbes in the soil, so it keeps the soil alive, and also has that side benefit of supporting all of the insects in the environment as well. So we also use natural mulches where possible. So you can see here I've used some compost. We also grow in raised in-ground beds, which just means that we're not using any other materials to side up the beds, which means we're not using as much stuff, I guess, that could be it's taken energy to produce. So in the pathways here we've got some bark. So this bark actually came from a previous property that we lived at, and we chipped the trees and then put it down here. Just ignore the weeds because there's many of them. I need to get onto those. So a lot of growers do grow into this this plastic mulch here. So they'll go and burn holes in here and then actually plant directly into them. I've done that in the past, and to be honest, I actually hated it for various reasons. But I still have this material, and I didn't want to chuck it out or sell it, so I use this to help get on top of some weeds, or once a cover crop has been finished, I'll mow it down and then I'll cover it with this material. So not a sustainable option because it's actually made out of plastic, but I think by not burning holes in it, I'm helping not put microplastics into the soil. So I feel like that's a better option in terms of a sustainable way to use it, or more sustainable way to use it, should we say. So another thing I'm quite into is growing perennials. So you can see we've got, there's a little spider guy on that. We use a lot of shrubs and perennials, or rather I've been planting them out slowly over the last couple of years. And they use less resources, I would say, than annuals. Got some irises there, so they just sort of keep coming back year on year, and require less water, I think, because they can be established for longer. So like, for example, we've got some 9-buck or Physocarpus is just sort of coming out, so that doesn't require anywhere near as much time, maintenance, energy as my annual crops do. Another example of that is just ignore the weeds, as I said before. This is Achillea, so this is a second year Achillea. So it basically looks after itself, which is awesome. So we use as many perennials as we can. So I think we've probably got maybe half to 60% of the farm in perennials now, and then the rest in annual. So we're also a minimum tillage farm as well. So typically we just grow in these permanent raised beds. Oh look, another little ladybird. I don't know if you can see that down there. This is what I mean about the pest army. So they're out in force. So we try and disturb the soil as little as possible, and just grow in these permanent beds, which is obviously quite easy to do when you're growing things like perennials and shrubs. So the other thing that we like to do is plant natural hedging and windbreak. So obviously we've got some artificial windbreak there as well, just to help these establish, but and keep the rabbits out, but also again, this needs a mow and things too, but we've grown a lot of natives in our borders, and again, that's there to help the environment, and the little people that live there, insects, birds, etc. But also it's as a natural windbreak, or will be a natural windbreak when they mature. So it's something that we do. So I think that'll probably do it for this video. Thanks for watching and coming along. If you like this video, and give us a follow along. It would really help us out. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers this season, so we'll see. But yeah, every little bit helps. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see from me in the future.